Hey, this is James Borner, product engineer for PFC Brakes. I'm here to showcase our V3 rotor technology. It's been our mainstay of race and street applications for the past 12 years. With our PFC Brakes V3 rotor technology, we have built in 3 types of rotor applications into one design. PFC Brakes has been using the V3 rotor technology for about 10 years now in all of our mainstream road and racing applications. As such, we've designed it to have the ability to cover your full race float, to street track applications and pure street applications with a new additional hardware kit today. The PFC Brakes V3 rotor system consists of an aluminum hat center section, the iron friction ring, and a 2-turn stainless steel retaining ring. The assembly is held together with grooves cut into the hat section. I'll start by demonstrating disassemble this rotor. All I need is a flathead screwdriver, and I gently pry the retaining ring out of its matching groove in the aluminum rotor hat. With that, the rotor is now free to be removed from the aluminum hat. And for track use or racing, the retaining ring, when used, can be discarded to replace with a new one, allowing you to continue to reuse the aluminum hat section. Installation is simply the reverse, with the rotor flanges locating into the pockets and the 2-turn retaining ring installing into the hat grooves and winding itself in. This first option I put together uses the race assembly, which allows for full axial float, and this assembly will rattle and make noise. That application is done for full racing, where you want the rotor to be able to move slightly due to deflections to reduce drag on the brake pads and the caliper system. We have a hybrid system to remove some of that axial movement with an additional larger size retaining ring. This one installs the same way, but preloads and requires the flathead screwdriver to force the retaining ring into the groove fully. As you move through each flange, the ring will snap into place to let you know it's fully installed. And with this application, there's no more full float, so it's a lot quieter for street applications, but it still does have the ability to move and float back and forth. The third new option that we're releasing this year is an additional hardware kit that will allow the assembly to be fully locked down with the use of these 4 small retaining ring clips. And these are installed to remove that preload, to remove that float for a full street assembly where you want it to be fully quiet. And this requires a small ball peen hammer and a punch tool to install 4 clips symmetrically into the rotor assembly. These clips are intended for street use only, as they will remove the ability for the rotor to axially move. However, the rotor can still grow due to thermal loads separate from the hat section. Now with these installed, there is no more axial float to produce any noise aspects for quiet street application. That is our 3 options that give us, with a single hat, a single iron friction ring, the ability to cover all 3 market segments with the same essential product, and only minimal changes to the retaining ring or the additional clip kit installation. And now with that installation complete, we are now ready to transition and install the product on the vehicle. With the install of PFC's V3 brake rotors and pads on this test vehicle, we are now ready to hit the track. But I wanted to showcase why we have the 3 different options from full race to street and track to full street. And it's due to brake drag. Under race scenarios, we want the brake rotor to move as freely as possible to prevent any drag or any unintended braking action of the vehicle. With performance driving, track use, racing, we want as little drag as possible in the brake system. So our full float race rotors accomplish this in allowing the rotor to move freely inside the brake pads and producing as little drag as possible. With street performance, that drag isn't as cumbersome, but we care more about noise, and so that's why the other 2 systems exist, to be able to tune in the system to your liking and be able to have the highest performance when needed and quiet operation on the streets. With the installation now complete, you're ready to hit the streets, the track, the race session with your preferred method of the V3 system from PFC Brakes.